What happens when you stop feeling and start winning? There's a moment in every high-stakes deal when everything shifts. Your opponent leans back, crosses their arms, and waits. They're not anxious. They're not worried. They're just there. Meanwhile, your palms are sweating. Your mind is racing through worst-case scenarios, and you're already preparing to compromise. That's the moment you lost. And you lost because you cared too much. Here's what nobody tells you about negotiation. Emotion is bankruptcy. Every time you let fear, guilt, or hope cloud your decision-making, you're handing ammunition to the other side. They see it, they smell it, and they use it. The most dangerous negotiators aren't the loud ones or the aggressive ones. They're the ones who sit across from you with the emotional range of a chess computer. Power Law 15 teaches us, crush your enemy, totally. But before you can crush anyone else, you need to crush your own emotional reactions. That internal voice screaming, "What if they say no?" needs to die. Because that voice makes you weak, predictable, and exploitable. A real estate mogul in Texas during the 80s had a reputation that terrified sellers. He'd walk into property viewings, look around for exactly 90 seconds, and make one offer. Take it or leave it. No negotiation, no emotion, no second chance. Sellers would panic, call him back, beg for reconsideration. He never answered. Half the time, they'd accept his original offer within 24 hours. The other half? He didn't care. He had 20 other properties lined up. That's the power of a genuine indifference. The technique isn't about being cruel. It's about being strategic. When you're buying a house, closing a business deal, or asking for a raise, your emotions are data points. Every nervous laugh, every rushed explanation, every eager nod tells the other person exactly how desperate you are. And desperation is the most expensive thing you can broadcast. Think about it. When was the last time you got a great deal while being emotionally invested? Never. Because emotional investment creates tunnel vision. You stop seeing alternatives. You convince yourself this is the only option. And once you believe that, you'll pay any price, accept any terms, just to avoid the pain of walking away. Here's your first practical action. Before your next important negotiation, spend 5 minutes imagining yourself walking away from the deal. Not as a tactic, but as genuine acceptance. Feel what it's like to say no. Practice it in the mirror if you need to. This mental rehearsal rewires your nervous system. You're no longer negotiating from need. You're negotiating from choice. The brutal truth is this: in any negotiation, whoever needs it less wins. Not whoever's smart, not whoever's more experienced. Whoever can genuinely survive without the deal owns the table. And the way you signal that you can survive without it. Zero emotional attachment. If you're ready to become emotionally bulletproof in negotiations, type detached in the comments. Tell me, what deal did you blow because you wanted it too badly? Hit that like button if this video is already shifting your perspective, and subscribe for tactics the elite don't want you to know. How cold calculation beats emotional reaction every single time. Wall Street has a saying, scared money never wins. But here's what they don't tell you. It's not just fear that kills deals. It's all emotions. Excitement makes you overpay. Anger makes you walk away from good opportunities. Hope makes you ignore red flags. Every feeling is a liability when money's on the table. There's a specific training technique used by intelligence agencies for interrogation resistance. It's called emotional compartmentalization. Operatives learn to put feelings in a mental box and lock it during operations. They can open it later, process everything, even cry if needed. But during the mission, the box stays locked. You can do the same thing in business meetings, salary negotiations, any situation where showing emotion costs you money or power. Power Law 27 states, play on people's need to believe to create cult-like following. But to play on others' needs, you first must eliminate your own. When you need validation, approval, or quick resolution, you become controllable. Someone offers false urgency, you panic. They withdraw attention, you chase. They play hardball, you fold. A venture capitalist in Silicon Valley became legendary for a specific move. During pitch meetings with desperate startups, he'd check his phone openly, multiple times. Not because he was rude, but because he was demonstrating something crucial. Your dream company means nothing to him. He had 10 more pitches that afternoon. Founders would stumble over their words, offer better terms, slash their valuations, all because one person in the room refused to show excitement. He turned indifference into a weapon worth millions. Here's your second practical action. Practice the gray rock method in your next negotiation. Give minimal reactions to everything. Someone makes a generous offer? Interesting. They threaten to walk? Understood. They try to excite you with possibilities? We'll see. Flat. Neutral. Unmoved. This drives emotional people insane because they can't read you, can't manipulate you, can't figure out what you want. The mistake most people make is thinking negotiation is about persuasion. It's not. It's about leverage. And the ultimate leverage is being willing to lose. When the other side realizes their emotional tactics don't work on you, that threats don't scare you, that opportunities don't excite you, they're forced to compete on substance alone. And substance usually means better terms for you. Consider this. Every salesperson is trained to create emotional urgency. This deal expires tonight. Someone else is looking at it. You'll regret missing this. These tactics work on 95% of people because 95% of people react emotionally. But when you respond with, "Okay, I'll think about it," and mean it, the entire script breaks. They have no counterplay for genuine indifference. There's a deeper layer here, too. Emotional detachment doesn't just protect you, it gives you clarity. You notice things that anxious people miss. The small hesitation before they quote a price. The way they repeat certain phrases when they're desperate. The tells that reveal they need this deal more than you do. Type leverage in the comments if you understand that emotional control is the ultimate power move. What emotional trigger do people use against you most often? Awareness is the first step to immunity. Smash that like button and subscribe to keep learning strategies that separate winners from losers. Why? Reading others while being unreadable is your secret weapon. Here's something they don't teach in business school. The person who controls their face controls the room. Not the loudest voice. Not the best presentation. The one who gives away nothing while absorbing everything. That's asymmetric warfare in negotiation. And it's devastatingly effective. There's a concept from professional poker that translates perfectly to business. It's called information asymmetry. While your opponent is bleeding, tells, micro-expressions, nervous habits, you're a blank slate. They're playing with cards face up. You're playing with cards face down. Over time, this gap becomes insurmountable. They make mistakes based on emotion. You make decisions based on data. Power Law 48 reminds us, assume formlessness. When you have no predictable pattern, no emotional signature, people can't strategize against you. They throw their best manipulation tactics and watch them bounce off. The confused look on their face when guilt tripping doesn't work, when urgency doesn't work, when charm doesn't work, that's when you know you've won. A legendary crisis negotiator in South America had a technique that saved lives. When criminals would make threats, scream demands, create artificial deadlines, he would respond with complete emotional flatness. Not cold, not hostile, just neutral. This forced the aggressors to exhaust their emotional energy against a wall. And exhausted people make concessions. He brought home dozens of hostages using nothing but strategic emptiness. Here's your third practical action. Master the 3-second rule. When someone asks you an important question, count to 3 before responding. Always. This pause does 2 things. First, it gives you time to think without emotional interference. Second, it creates psychological pressure on the other person. Humans hate silence. They fill it. And when they fill it, they reveal more than they intended. Most people negotiate like they're trying to win an argument. They talk fast, explain everything, justify their position. Amateur hour. Professional negotiators ask questions and then shut up. They let the other side talk themselves into corners, reveal their desperation, expose their bottom line. But you can only do this if you're comfortable with silence. And comfort with silence requires emotional control. Watch what happens when you stop reacting. Your boss tries the team player guilt trip to load more work without more pay. Instead of defending yourself or getting upset, You simply say, I see, then nothing. He expected pushback or agreement. He got neither. Now, he's off balance. Now, he has to fill the awkward space. And in filling it, he might reveal the real budget, the real flexibility, the real situation. There's a ruthless efficiency to this approach. Every word someone speaks without you reacting is another piece of intelligence. Are they repeating themselves? Desperation. Are they sweetening the deal without you asking? They need you more than they're letting on. Are they name dropping or creating false scarcity? They're running low on actual leverage. The beautiful thing about being emotionally unreadable is that it's not lying. You're not pretending to feel differently. You're just not broadcasting your internal state. That's privacy, not deception. And in a world where everyone overshares their feelings, privacy is a superpower. Type unreadable in the comments if you've grasped the power of strategic silence. What's the longest you've ever let silence sit in a tense conversation? Practice makes perfect. Drop that like and subscribe to keep getting these psychological edge tactics. How practicing worst-case scenarios makes you fearless in real negotiations. There's a pre-game ritual that separates amateurs from masters in high-stakes negotiation. Before entering the room, the amateur visualizes success, pumps themselves up, imagines the perfect outcome. The master? They visualize total failure. They see themselves losing everything, and then they accept it. That acceptance becomes armor. Nothing can penetrate. This isn't pessimism. It's what ancient strategists called negative visualization. You mentally rehearse the worst possible outcome till it loses its emotional grip on you. Deal falls through. Life continues. Client walks away. There are others. Promotion denied. You'll find another path. Once you've genuinely made peace with loss, fear evaporates. And without fear, you negotiate from a position of absolute strength. Power Law 36 teaches, disdain things you cannot have. But here's the advanced version. Disdain things before you even try to have them. Walk into every negotiation already having mourned its potential loss. Sounds dark, but it's liberation. You can't be threatened with something you've already emotionally processed losing. An oil trader in Houston made a fortune in the 90s with the tactic that seemed insane. During crucial negotiations worth millions, he'd suddenly stand up and leave. No explanation, no warning, just gone. Companies would panic, chase him down, offer better terms. He did this repeatedly. It worked every time because it wasn't a bluff. He had genuinely accepted that walking away was fine. His indifference wasn't performance. It was real. And real indifference is intoxicating to people who desperately need to close deals. Here's your fourth practical action. Create your loss acceptance document. Before any major negotiation, write down 3 genuine alternatives you have if this deal dies. Other suppliers, other investors, other opportunities. The act of writing alternatives changes your brain chemistry. You're no longer betting everything on one outcome. You're playing with options, and that shifts your entire energy from desperate to selective. Most people enter negotiations like their life depends on it, and maybe financially it does. But the irony is that acting like it doesn't is what saves them. The job candidate who genuinely has other interviews gets the offer. The seller who's prepared to keep their house gets the better price. The founder who's okay walking from investor meetings gets better valuations. Scarcity of need creates abundance of results. Compare these two mindsets. Person A thinks, I must close this client or my quarter is ruined. Person B thinks, let's see if this client is worth my time. Same sales meeting, wildly different outcomes. Person B probably closes at higher margins even though they need it less. Why? Because need smells. It changes your voice tone, your body language, your willingness to push back. And buyers exploit that smell ruthlessly. There's a final piece that completes this puzzle. When you don't need to win, you see clearly. Anxiety clouds judgment. Desperation creates tunnel vision. But when you've pre-accepted failure, your mind is calm enough to spot the tells. When they're bluffing, when there's hidden flexibility, when they're actually more desperate than you. Intel that emotional people miss completely because they're drowning in their own panic. So here's the complete picture. The emotional shutdown technique isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming free. Free from fear-based decisions. Free from manipulation. Free from accepting terrible terms because you're too scared to walk away. And that freedom makes you unbeatable anywhere. Emotions are weapons. Type freedom in the comments if you understand that emotional control equals ultimate power. Share this video with someone who keeps losing negotiations because they care too much. What's the biggest deal you have coming up? Drop that like, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a strategy that could change your financial life forever. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and strategic purposes only. We do not encourage unethical behavior or harmful manipulation. The techniques presented should be used responsibly and with integrity in legitimate professional contexts.